7.5, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome to the 7.5 floor of the Merton Plummer Building.
My name is Craig Schwartz, and I have an interview with Dr. Lester.
Please have a seat, Mr. Juarez.
My name is Schwartz.
My name is Schwartz.
Which of these two letters comes first, this one or this one?
The symbol on the left is not a letter, sir.
Damn, you're good.
Do you know that I don't even know your name or where you work?
And 50 other lines to get into a girl's pants.
So, honey, you thought any more about us having a baby?
I think that maybe we should just wait and see if this job thing pays off.
There's a tiny door in my office, Maxine, and it takes you inside John Malcovich.
There's no such thing as a hole into somebody's brain.
Yes, there is. You see the world through John Malkovich's eyes?
Yes!
And then after about 15 minutes...
That's not me. I didn't say that.
You're spit out into a ditch on the side of the New Jersey Turnpike.
It was amazing.
Where the hell are we? We're in Malkovich's subconscious.
Do you think that it's kind of weird that John Malkovich has a portal? I mean, do you think that it might have some sort of significance?
What is going on? Huh?
I discovered that portal.
It's my head!
John Cusack, Cameron Diaz, Catherine Keener, and John Malkovich.
Malkovich! Malkovich!
Being John Malkovich.
Hey, Malkovich, think fast.
Hello YouTube and YouTubettes. Today we're going to review the movie Being John Malkovich. My name is Rob.
And I'm Jonathan.
So Jonathan, give us a little bit of a synopsis about this movie.
Well, this movie came out in 1999, and it was the directorial debut of Spike Jonze, and it was written by the odd but extremely talented screenwriter Charlie Kaufman. It stars John Cusack, Cameron Diaz, Catherine Keener, Orson Bean, and John Malkovich himself. The basic plot of the movie, I'll just say that a man, along with one of his co-workers and his wife, discover this portal in an office building that can lead you to take over the mind of John Malkovich for a short period of time. Now, there's a lot more to the movie than that, but I'm just going to start right there and stop right there.
Now we're going to discuss our favorite actor in the movie. Jonathan?
My favorite actor was John Cusack as the lead. A lot of it is because his character both evokes sympathy and at the same time horror. There's some things he does where you're like, oh man, that's so pathetic, I feel sorry for the guy. And then there are other moments where you're like, how can this person do this? This is awful. And he's just this very awkward man, but also a talented person as well who is very interested in puppeteering, but no one pays attention to it. And I just felt like ultimately this was a role that required a lot out of him, so that's why John Cusack was my favorite.
This was a tough one, but I went with John Malkovich. I think him having to, whenever somebody took over his mind, he had to act like somebody else.
Yeah.
And I thought he did really good, and also kind of playing himself, which is never that easy as, but he makes it very unique. Least favorite actor, Jonathan?
I'm going to have to cop out for this one. I don't have a least favorite. I thought the acting was really good across the board in this movie.
I did come up with Catherine Keener, who played Maxine. I don't think she was bad. It just a lot of the acting in this was superb, and she was just kind of there in my mind. But anyway, that's my thoughts.
Did you know the one who you picked as your least favorite actress in the film, Catherine Keener, she actually was the one who was nominated for an Oscar for her performance in the movie?
Well, I don't know what to say. I don't watch the Oscars. Maybe Anyway, favorite scene. What was your favorite scene in the movie?
My favorite is probably the same as yours. There is a scene, and there are spoilers in our film, but this actually takes place in the middle of the movie. Basically, John Malkovich finds out about the portal to his mind, and well, this time he decides to go inside the portal. And basically, he's just in this restaurant filled with everyone is him. This is a very odd movie. Just want to point out right here, right now. But yeah, it's just so odd, but so funny, and it's so great to see John Malkovich just kind of poke fun at himself and just be ultra meta in the movie.
Yes, mine is the same scene. I think it's funny how when he goes into the portal, everybody around him has his head, his face.
Yeah. And everyone says, Malkovich. Hello, Malkovich.
Right. All right, overall acting, from 1 to 10, Jonathan, how would you score?
I score it an 8. I thought the acting, it's not necessarily always the standard kind of good dramatic acting, but all of it fit the odd screenplay. I really liked all the actors in this movie.
I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think there was a few that were very over the top, very cool, than others that kind of were boring to me, in a sense. But I gave it a 7 out of 10. Directing, producing, overall direction of the movie, Jonathan, from 1 to 10, how would you grade that?
I would give it a 9. I think, and maybe this is me going with the rest of the critics, because Spike Jonze, the director, was nominated for an Oscar for this movie, and he's very critically acclaimed. But I thought he found a good balance of trying to film a weird story and show that it's weird, but at the same time make you feel for the characters who are in this movie. One thing I really liked is when someone is looking through John Malkovich's eyes, he uses a fish eye lens that kind of gets you inside of John Malkovich's head, and I thought ultimately it was very balanced.
Yeah, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I think it was a very interesting, weird, bizarre story, which, and I think there were some parts that kind of, it was a little disconnected at points, but I think they pulled it off pretty well.
Yeah.
So 8 out of 10 for me. Visual effects, 1 to 10. Jonathan?
Well, I give it an 8. Now this is, you could argue whether this movie is part sci-fi or part fantasy, but with something like this, you figure special effects might be involved. There wasn't a whole lot of regular effects, but there was puppetry in it. Was the scene that we mentioned where all these people are John Malkovich, and you have to have good effects to make you think that all these people in the same room have the head of John Malkovich. And that's why I gave it as high as I did. It could also be because I like the film so much, I'm kind of biased for it, because really it didn't rely a whole lot on special effects.
Yeah, I gave it a 6 out of 10, mainly because it didn't use a whole lot, but there was a few scenes. And again, it's kind of judging from 2017 eyes, I guess, but there were movies at that time that had better special effects than this. But I think it added the kind of the badness of it, to me, made it more appealing in a sense. Like sometimes the rated B movie badness makes it better, if that makes sense. The movie, the writing in the movie, Jonathan, 1 to 10?
I give it an 8. I thought the writing was great, especially when you're dealing with such a bizarre meta-narrative as this one. But I didn't go quite all the way to like 9 or 10 because, and this is on purpose, but there's some characters that they do things that I'm not really a big fan of. I mean, even though Catherine Keener is a good actress and she played her character well, she's just a very selfish character. In the end, all the characters are pretty selfish, and so while I wouldn't exactly call that bad writing, I would say it's writing about something, characters that you know, I'm not sure whether to root for them or not. I guess that's good writing, but yeah, I give it an 8.
And I give it a 9 out of 10. Once again, I think I put a lot of stock into the concept, and this is very original.
Oh, yeah.
And so, based on that, and again, I won't go to a 10 just because the dialogue was pretty basic, nothing extraordinary, but it was the concept is what made it, to me, great writing. So 9 out of 10. The soundtrack of the movie from 1 to 10. Jonathan?
I give it a 7. What I remember about the soundtrack was that, especially at the beginning, there was something. It was fairly low key, but there's something about it that pulled me into the movie. That kind of was preparing you that even though this is an odd movie, that there's heart to it too. I felt there was some heart to the score. I felt it was well utilized at the end of the movie, where it's also fairly low key. I also like the use of classical music when Cusack's character Craig is doing the puppeteering, basically.
Yes, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was very solid, and it does at times pull you in emotionally, and I think it worked very well. I don't quite put it up to a 9 or 10 just because it wasn't as memorable as other soundtracks are, but I think it really does work for what it's going for. What it all means. All right, good luck, Jonathan.
This will have to be a simple definition of what this means, because it is very multifaceted. But I will say that the gist you get, and you even get this from the advertisements for the movie, that it's about living through another person. But one of the things that's the center of this movie is actually this love triangle. And how it works out, though, is like, I love you, but only when you're living through this person. So it's like the way people do relationships is they actually have to be someone else in order for that person to love them.
I put, if you could enter someone else's head, then they entered their own head. Not sure what it means. It's dark comedy. There's a great puppeteer who was able to fulfill his dream through being John Malcovich.
Yeah.
Again, what all that means, and I don't know. It's just an interesting idea. And now for the average score of the movie overall, Jonathan?
I give it an 8. It's definitely one of those movies that in some ways I appreciate more than I enjoy, which is why, even though I give it a high grade, it's definitely not something I will go to all the time. But I give it an 8 because craft-wise, and it was just really good across the board.
I gave it a 7.6, so just slightly under that. And I think it's one of those I have to really be in the mood to watch. It's not one of my favorite to watch, but I think the concept is amazing. So 7.6 is what I ended up giving it. All right, thank you. That is our review for Being John Malkovich, and have a wonderful day.